that taxpayer money is used, the data has to be released in the public domain. This is Tycoon high-end, so I like to start off with this. Clearly I can use this image. And what I mean by that is getting access to detailed, high-resolution imagery is still very difficult. It's much better than it was 10 years ago, 5 years ago, continues to be better. I really think UAVs are where the power for opening that information is. As a small NGO, we're not going to have a multi-million-dollar satellite, but we could conceivably have a UAV. But it comes down to data sharing. So this is imagery we had access to of Tacloban prior to the Typhoon. This is from Bing, so Microsoft. There's an imagery agreement between OpenStreetMap and Microsoft, basically. We were fortunate that Digital Globe released imagery that anyone could use of that area. But this doesn't happen every time. It happens more often, but the last major imagery release really was after the 2010 earthquake in Haiti. However, more imagery becomes available, you end up having to search 20 different sites to figure out what imagery is where. So what I'm going to talk about is Open Aerial Map, which is a project that we're working on hoping to improve that. And really it's about, and this imagery, is key to response. So this is people from the Red Cross using OpenStreetMap data in the Philippines. So having that imagery available so volunteers can digitize it, so it can go into the tablets of first responders, is really key. Sort of before and after. This is in Port-au-Prince. Same thing, imagery release, very important. And this is what we do with it as the Humanitarian OpenStreetMap team. So these are all nodes where people can digitize every single building. And then we also do community mapping with it. So these are called field papers, and they're printed maps with QR codes on them. So you can write on them, take a picture, and then upload it to add your data back in, and it be geographically referenced. So Open Aerial Map's been an idea since 2006, but there's been a lot of changes in computing and imagery since then. It really never took off. Basically because there just wasn't that much imagery available, and hosting a bunch of imagery was really expensive. So this is sort of our little sketch of it. We wanted to create a distributed system where you could search for imagery and host it. Key is distributed. This is too important for any one organization to own. So it's 2014, what's different? Computing power and storage obviously is not the issue it used to be. And as I've said, the imagery is starting to be actually available. And some of this is really key in the UAV, the balloon, and the kite mapping. You can get imagery at low cost. So I like to use the bunny rabbit example. These are satellites in, we'll say 2006, but now here we are. So anyway, after high-end, you heard people everywhere, not everywhere, but on a lot of mailing lists saying, we have drones, we're going to the Philippines. How much of that imagery was never shared with anyone and other relief groups that could have benefited from it? The majority of it. So we aim to give people somewhere to put it, essentially. This is what a lot of people said. I have imagery, I don't know what to do with it. Or the other one, how do I use it? So both sides, sharing and use. We've been fortunate that we have a large grant from the Humanitarian Innovation Fund to build a prototype over the next year of Open Aerial Map. We're in the design phase, we're about to start coding, and the first thing we're doing is that search aspect so that we can say what's already available where. But the secondary part is cheap tools so people can process and host online imagery that they want to release under an open license. And this really is what's key. Like I said, one group just can't own this. My favorite example is when the U.S. government shut down. I had to tell a community leader in Indonesia, sorry, the image we need that's freely available, we can't download it because the U.S. government is closed. He didn't believe me, of course. So, sort of like a diagram, basically focus on distribution. And we want people to be able to point people what direction they need to go to get what image. So that's open aerial now. Thank you.
Awesome.
Very much. All right, who do we have next?